hope you are having an amazing and fabulous week. Are you ready to level up? Let's go. About a month ago, I was watching an IG live with someone and they were talking about a leadership program they were getting ready to start. And they were saying, if you're a leader, you're aspiring to be a leader, in any sector, go ahead and sign up. And in the chat, there was a woman there who's saying, oh, this isn't for me. I'm just a mom, right? She's like, I'm not a leader. It's just me, my kids, and my husband. And I noticed that there were other people in the chat saying, oh no, you are a leader. You lead at home. Like, being a mom doesn't mean that you're not a leader. In fact, it means that you are one. And it just got me thinking about how we use titles often to define leaders and define what leadership is. If someone is not chief something or manager of, director of, we oftentimes overlook the fact that they can be a leader. Being a mom is also a leadership position the same way that being a CEO is a leadership position. We have to be careful not to allow titles or the lack of titles to define who and what is a leader. I see this in the case of Rahab. Right? Most of us, when we think Rahab, the first word that probably came to your mind was prostitute. And if you're super saved, maybe you're thinking about, oh, Jesus, because she's in the lineage of Jesus. We kind of put her in this box as the prostitute that helped the Israelites and is in the genealogy of Jesus. And we overlook the fact that she was a leader. She led, she made decisions. And because of what she did, she was able to save her and her family. I want to talk about some leadership lessons that we can learn from Rahab. Number one is that leaders take risks. Make no mistake about it. Rahab knew that those two spies were not her regular customers. She could have easily, when she opened up the door and they knocked, she could have looked them up and down and said, this don't look right. No, thank you. Go someplace else. Instead, she took the risk of welcoming them into her home. Not only that, when the king sent a message saying, hey, I've heard that there's some spies at your place, bring them out, she took another risk by lying and hiding them. I mean, when the king sent the message, she could have been like, this has gotten way out of hand. I thought I could keep you up for a couple of hours and send you on your way, but now the king knows and I could be in trouble. No, she did what most great leaders do, which was to take a risk. And because she took that risk, her and her family were saved when Jericho was destroyed. As a leader, you have to be able to take calculated risks because with great risk come great rewards, but they have to be calculated, which is lesson number 2. Rahab was willing to take that risk because she understood the circumstances. As a leader, you have to be able to take in the information available to you and make the best decision that you can. It may not be perfect, right? A lot of people, when we look at the story of Rahab, are like, oh, but she lied. Yes, she did. But based on what the circumstance was and her understanding of God and how God worked, that was the best decision that she could make, was to lie to the people that came and to hide the spies. As a leader, you have to be able to give yourself grace and realize that you're not always going to get it right, but recognize and understand the circumstances and make the best decision that you can. Another lesson that we learned from Rahab is you got to be able to negotiate and advocate for yourself and other people. It wasn't until recently when I was rereading the story of Rahab that I realized that the opportunity to save her family and herself was her idea. It wasn't like other stories that we read in the Bible where someone will say, oh, thank you for your kindness towards me. How can I repay you? How can I bless you? No, the spies had finished their outlook. They got the information they needed. They're getting ready to go. And Rahab says, I know the God that you serve. Like, I have heard stories about your God. I know how he's delivered you out of Egypt. I know how he brought you through the Red Sea. We know how you've defeated people. I know your God. I know that Yahweh, the great God, is your God. So as I did this for you, here's what I need you to do for me and mine. And as a leader, you have to be able to speak up for yourself and other people. You have to be willing to do negotiations. Sometimes we make it seem like negotiating is a bad thing. No, honey, negotiate. She said, I helped you. Here's what I'm expecting in return. You got to be willing to speak up and advocate for yourself and other people. which is another thing that Rahab teaches us, is that as a leader, you can't be self-centered. When you read the story of Rahab in Joshua chapter 2, Rahab doesn't just go, hey, save me. No, she literally is looking out for her whole crew. She doesn't just say, hey, save me and my immediate family. She said, save me, my father's household, my sister, my brother. Yeah, she's even looking out for her in-laws. She was looking out for other people. And as leaders, that's what we have to do. We have to be able to look out for others and be able to see what they can't see, be able to think ahead about what is needed and be able to address that need. I think another thing that I love and I appreciate about Rahab is that she took responsibility. She followed through. Sometimes it is so hard as leaders because we overcommit ourselves. We're not fully recognizing what's on our plate, not to follow through. But as a leader, you've got to follow through. See, when the spies told her, said, okay, yes, we will look out for you and your family, but here's what you got to do. You got to make sure they're all in your house and you have to tie this cord outside your window. Rahab didn't go, okay, yep, great, I do it, and then forget to tell her family or forget to tie the cord. Nope, she made sure that her family was in the household and that she tied the cord. As leaders, we have to be willing, we have to follow through, not just be willing. To be a great leader, you have to follow through. You have to be a person of integrity. You got to do what you say that you're going to do as a leader. I really encourage you to read the story of Rahab and see what leadership lessons that you glean. See what you can learn about making decisions. See what you can learn about advocating for other people. See what you can learn about being responsible. Take care.